Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. It says that we're... Okay. Might be having a little bit of luck. There we go. Okay, now we're live again. Just need a little bit of a reboot. Okay, so let's just pick up where we left off. So, and then for those of you who are catching this right now, you will see the rest of it. It'll show up in the live video, so I do apologize for YouTube's fuck-ups here. It is what it is. Let's move on to the next topic. And Hatman, I will let you take the lead on this one. Justin Trudeau has been reelected.
Yep. So you know how everyone was complaining about the Electoral College basically not letting Hillary win back in 2016?
Yep.
So Canada has sort of a similar system, and it allowed Justin Trudeau to win, and very few people complained about that. So basically, his party, the Liberal Party, did not win the popular vote, but managed to have a minority. They're still the majority of the parties in Parliament now, but they do not control a majority of Parliament, so they have to have a coalition government. But A still got it. He still gets to be Prime Minister. And now he's got to form a coalition with a more left-wing party, which the name escapes me right now. I'm sure chat will correct me on it. In order to, have a working government. He lost seats, but he did not get trounced as expected. On top of that, now apparently there is more talk for certain provinces to exit, Western provinces in the Wexit, as it were, and a party in Quebec that once again wants secession.
Of course they do.
Has surged too. I'm honestly kind of surprised because when's the last time they tried that? Like 20 years ago or so?
Oh, less than that.
Really? Was it more recent than that?
I'm pretty sure. But well, no.
But
now
yeah,
that I think about it, it
so,
would be close to 20 years ago. You're right.
But yeah, So Canada fucked up, and I suppose this reinforces the belief that yes, as long as you have the right politics, you can get away with blackface.
I think that's part of it. I think there's something else there that needs a bit of discussion, because there is this excuse me, someone down the wrong pipe. Hold on a second.
Oh, me too. I'm coughing too.
All right, there we go. So let me say this about this is something that needs to be understood. The idea that there is a giant wave of nationalism sweeping the globe, I don't think is true. I think that there are quite a few outliers in that regard. Canada being one of them. Because Canada basically just brought back in their Barack Obama. They want to be the progressive nation. They want to be the accepting, friendly nation, because that's what their culture is. And this idea that the nationalists across the world are just going to, rise up and vote everyone out is not just going to automatically happen overnight. There has to be some sort of a cultural shift for people to realize that these leaders, these progressive leaders, are not good at what they do. Trudeau has been very bad for Canada. It's not just the blackface or anything like that, like economically been very bad for them. There's been a ton of lost jobs. There are major cities that might as well be dead. He's not that good of a leader. And it shows because he's too focused on identity politics and not focused on the working man, which is the backbone of every single country. So the simple fact is that there needs to be each country needs to understand something, is that there's nothing wrong with loving your own nation, and there's nothing wrong with thinking that your nation's existence is a positive. Trudeau gives a lot of the same impressions, that a lot of other globalists do, is that for some reason, because of the mistakes of your country's past, your country is not necessarily a good thing. That's ridiculous to me. Every country does something wrong at some point. Every single one. And we cannot go back into the past and correct all the mistakes that have happened. All we can do is try to be better people moving forward. And the way to do that is not to denigrate the people who are here now. So, this idea that it's just going to be an automatic switch to the world, to everybody realizing that their nations are not bad things. It's not. We're not there yet. We're just not there yet worldwide. There are countries that just don't seem to get it. Canada's one of them. I think France is another one that is not going to get it. Poland, on the other hand, does get it. But that's because there's a big sense of national pride. Yes. Britain, hard saying what the future holds for them. It is not cut and dry. But then again, I've been saying that for 2 years now, and nobody's listened to me, so whatever. Needless to say, Trudeau is in power. He will probably be in power for a good while. And, yeah, this is not going to go away anytime soon, to say the least.
Yep.
Tom the Fish out of the chat says, once Brexit fails, nationalism will be a dead movement. Well, I will say this. Nationalism dying is not a good thing. However, one thing to keep in mind is that nationalism has to be argued properly. You have to be able to argue that your country is not a bad place to be. You have to be able to argue these things. You have to be able to win the public over. And I honestly don't think that more conservative politicians across the world have been as successful at that as Americans have. But then again, we also here in America have a greater sense of national pride than a lot of other countries. And that is one thing about the cultures that I think is interesting. Canada doesn't really have that big of a natural pride to it, So, I think that Tom the Fish might be right in regards to Europe and outside of the United States. I think if Brexit fails, America's not gonna go anywhere. Here, conservatives have been winning a lot of cultural fights and have been doing quite well. So it's just going to depend on where things go from here. All right, let's move on. So the next topic we had for today, and again, I want to apologize for all the technical difficulties we had lately. Like, something between Streamlabs and YouTube just has not worked. So, but we have good news.
Good news, everyone.
We actually have a dead bad guy. Specifically, the leader of ISIS is very dead. Very dead. Hatman, what be the details here?
It was a raid conducted last night in which he was killed, or or rather, he apparently blew himself up while whimpering and cowering at the end of a tunnel using children as a shield. Normally I would say fuck him, but he kind of took care of that on his own.
Yes. Typical Islamic terrorist. Using children as a shield.
Yep. So this guy is not quite as bad as Bin Laden as far as, the big scale of terrorism, but he's basically what we would describe as Bin Laden's successor as far as Islamic terrorism goes.
Yeah.
He is the head of the next big terrorist organization. And, of course, he is dead, and he has earned it.
Indeed. May he burn in hell. Now, the thing that needs to be said here is, aside from Trump confirming it, there's two caveats. One that I find hilarious, and one that is just intriguing about the political game in the current day and age. So here's the hilarious part. Saturday Night Live did a skit having terrorists thanking Trump for bringing jobs back to ISIS.
Oops.
This deserves more of an oops. More than an oops. This deserves a certain horn. If YouTube would work. Here we go. It gets worse. The Washington Post called him an astute religious scholar. This guy was a rapist and a murderer. Again. Yeah. Pretty ridiculous, to say the least. Why the left continuously lionizes people like this is just mind-boggling to me.
I don't get it either. Though I suppose Saturday Night Live isn't terribly far off, because ISIS is they have an opening for a new leader, so I guess that is bringing one job back.
I guess. But anyway, here's the one thing I found.
I don't think they're going to last much longer at this point.
No. One thing I found interesting.
Power vacuum.
Trump didn't notify Nancy Pelosi or other governmental leaders before the raid on the ISIS leader. He did not.
Good.
Yeah. So he said here, we notified some and others are being notified now as I speak on Speech Sunday. We were going to notify them last night, but we decided not to do that because Washington leaks like I've never seen before. There's no country in the world that leaks like we do, and Washington is a leaking machine. Those on the outside included Pelosi and House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff. Trump said that was the safest course of action. The only people that knew were the few people that I dealt with. A leak could have caused the death of all of them. I told my people we will not notify them until our great people are out, not just in, but out. So, that was probably, in my opinion, one of the wisest decisions for him to make. First, he doesn't have to let them know it's happening. He doesn't have to.
No.
He's the head of the army.
He is commander-in-chief. Yeah. I've seen some people argue that, oh, no, he has to because Pelosi is second in line from the presidency as speaker, so she has to know things in case some... No. He's commander-in-chief. He does not have to give approval to anybody on this.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that he didn't, because I would... we're starting to realize that one of the most corrupt people in the House right now is Adam Schiff, and he would have leaked it.
We're starting to realize it?
Well, he wasn't that big of a name until this whole impeachment inquiry, and then all of this stuff is coming out about, of course, him lying blatantly, which could have him impeached for perjury if we had a sensible country.
He'd been trying to make a name for himself even before this, especially with the the Mueller investigation. I have absolute proof that Trump colluded with Russia that I will be sharing with the investigation, and of course nothing fucking came of it.
Exactly.
I mean, he was trying to build a nothing burger stand in Congress.
Exactly. So, but I found this interesting, and I think that, again, this is just sort of where we're at, is that there is a general thought that some people would actually leak this out to sabotage Trump, and if this wasn't leaked, then, more innocent lives could be lost.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, and this is generally just, another issue that is present within the country right now, is that there are people out there that put politics above people's lives. That's disturbing to me.
I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that someone would try to leak this just so Trump couldn't get a win.
Yeah. It's disgusting to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Islamic State, how many terror attacks were inspired by them?
Too many.
Yeah, too many. The most heinous, to my recollection, was the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Mm-hmm.
This needed to be snuffed out. It should have been done during the Obama years. But Barack Obama's a coward, and he wouldn't do what needed to be done. So... Serena donated $1. She says, read this article by CNN. It's going to crack you both up. See what it says. STDs are sexist and women are the losers. Here's why. What? What? I did. What?
I got nothing.
I'm lost too. Yeah. Moving on. So our final topic for the day. Some people will say we probably should have done this for entertainment. We really didn't have room for it on entertainment, but I actually thought it was interesting because there are political ramifications here. So Kanye West just released an album called Jesus is King, which is surprising in and of itself, considering he called himself Yeezy for the longest time, which is basically Jesus. But over the last 3 or 4 years, things have changed with this guy. And it's really interesting because he is the most popular rapper in the world. And let's there's a transcript of a recent interview of his that I found intriguing in our current political climate. So, and I'm reading from BizPack Review here. He says, promoting his new album, Jesus is King, on Big Boy TV this week, West continued to voice his support for independent thought among artists in the left-leaning industry and the right for black Americans not to support Democrats. Going into pressure he has felt to support Democrats, West said, it's not a matter of whether you like it or who likes it. We're in a country where we are allowed to think whatever, to like whoever we like. What do you say to people that turned their back on black culture? Host Big Boy asked West. Exactly. 100% I have turned my back on the idea of victimization mentality. We, meaning black people, are locked up. We went from 1 in 4 to 1 in 3, but we were always pointing at the white people. And yet, we want to spend all of our money on foreigners, he replied. We want to spend all of our money on luxury as opposed to going and buying some land. America is for sale. But the culture is so focused on fucking somebody's bitch and pulling up in something foreign and rapping about things that can get you locked up. He continued, taking the rap industry to task for promoting criminal activity, while the rappers themselves turn around and preach about social movements like prison reform. He says, this is a free man talking. Democrats had us voting for Democrats for food stamps for years. Went out to call Democrats for promoting abortion and social programs that foster dependency in black communities instead of independent thought and hard work. The ideas West touched on in the Friday interview are certainly pushed in his new album, where he's clear about his Christianity and his push for independent thought among the black community and artists in general. There's also a shout out to ChickfilA, so it's not all serious. No, that is the most serious of things. It doesn't get more serious than Chick-fil-A.
Kanye West chose Chick-fil-A over Popeyes?
Hell yeah. I will say this. College Dropout was a great album. I imagine some of you wouldn't expect me to say that, but yeah. I liked Kanye when I was in college. In a separate interview with Apple Music to promote his album, West made clear that spreading the love of Christ is his current mission with music. Now that I'm in service to Christ, my job is to spread the gospel, to let people know that what Jesus has done for me, he said. I've spread a lot of things. There was a time I was letting you know what high fashion had done for me. I was letting you know what Hennessy had done for me. I was letting you know all these things, but now I'm letting you know what Jesus has done for me. And I'm no longer a slave. I'm a son now. A son of God. I'm free through Christ. There was also an interview with one of his a pastor that he knows, that said basically that he got turned on to some of the Christians who are rappers out there, and to be just kind of understanding that he's not alone in that, and then I have a feeling that this is here's the interesting thing about this. Kanye West is the first rapper that I can think of in a very long time to call out his own industry while at the top of the game. He has everything to lose from that. Because there is a stigma, culturally speaking, that if you are a black person, you must vote Democrat or you are an Uncle Tom. I've seen it among my own friends. I've actually seen people be called Uncle Toms by white people for being black and not voting for Democrats. Seen that a lot of times. And it disturbs the shit out of me. Because it is basically the entire Democratic Party saying, no, you must vote for us. And Hatman, you remember the article that I ripped apart from Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh, yeah.
That portrayed Kanye being rained on and it turning his skin white. By the way, you know what? I don't think we've done this yet. For Ta-Nehisi Coates, we have a button. We have a very appropriate button. So, for all of your droning, for all of your non-sourced articles, for all of your platitudes, for all of your unwillingness to argue and debate your actual fucking points, from even running away from somebody more socialist than you are and Dr. Cornel West, and refusing to even have a debate with him, not to mention being the worst Black Panther writer of all time, which is certainly saying something given how bad Reginald Hoodland's first run on it was, and for being the worst Captain America writer of all time, and generally trying to portray everybody who doesn't look like you as the worst part of society, which, by the way, has included white people and Jews and black men who don't agree with you. I declare exterminatus on your dumb ass.
We have arrived, and it is now that we fulfill our charge. In fealty to the Lord our God, and by the grace of his throne, I declare exterminatus upon whatever scumbag we're declaring exterminatus on today. I hereby sign the death warrant of an entire wherever, and consign 1,000,000 souls, maybe, to oblivion. May imperial justice account in all balance. The Emperor protects.
Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult.
And one to grow on.
Fuck 'em.
Criminy. Back Englewood and then go buy Kanye's new album. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
All right. We have reached that time. Time for the Q&A. So, let's have a look-see what we got for political questions. Okay, Talon Silverrain wants to know, for the political podcast, with the death of the ass clown of ISIS, will you see people trying to defend ISIS over this? Well, we already have. And how do you think people will try to flip this to be somehow a bad thing, and why should we should impeach Trump? That one, I don't know if that's going to happen. But needless to say, they're going to try to spin it into being a bad thing, because brown people or something, I don't know. This is ridiculous. Terrorists are terrorists, and terrorists are evil. Then CT117 asks, is it good that when we have a piece of entertainment that can be enjoyed by everybody of every walk of life than it is being one-sided or far leftists or right-wingers? Yes.
Yes. That's the idea.
Yeah, some people just need something to enjoy.
Yeah. Even beyond that, that's capitalism. You want to appeal to your greatest possible market, not just one target. You want as many people to consume your product as possible. So not just from an entertainment perspective, but from a money-making one too. You should not just try to pander.
Waistcoats wants to know, starting to realize the entertainment industry I'm trying to get into is heavily leftist, or at least attracts them. After a bit of anger at a political comment by a classmate that I didn't speak on, I'm starting to wonder if it's worth pushing onward into it, if I'm just going to be the only righty. It's very much worth it. First off, Waistcoats, you're a very talented artist. And I loved your fan art piece for Englewood. More on that with the next show. We'll just say that. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do in the future. When it comes right down to it, I don't think that you really need to worry that much about it, because there's an independent scene now that you can get into, you know. And if you need help with that, let me know, and I'll do what I can for you. I'll try to see if we can introduce you to some people. But no, don't give up this thing that you're not only talented with, but incredibly passionate about. Just because of politics. Never let that stop you. The world is different now. You know? And you've told me about some of the stuff that you've been able to do thus far. And it's, for somebody your age, it's quite the accomplishment. Just keep trucking ahead. You're going to do awesome. Seriously.
I'll say this too. Culture will shift back. It's not going to be heavily leftist forever.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I think that's it from the Discord server. So let's have a look at the chat. Why did you do Exterminatus of the Democrats going after Kanye instead of the mother trying to make her son a transgender girl? I really hate Ta-Nehisi Coates.
I do not like Ta-Nehisi Coates either, or Ta-Nehisi Coates, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Can you, I
don't like him.
Aside from Jim Sterling, can you think of any one person in the press that I have bashed more than Ta-Nehisi Coates? I can't think of one. I really hate that guy. Because, and this is something that needs to be understood.
One person in the press. Jim Acosta.
I think that I've gone after Coates more than Acosta.
You have, but Jim Acosta is the only other one that comes remotely close that is not Jim Starlin.
Yeah.
Jim Sterling, not Starlin. Oh my God.
About to say.
No, we love Jim Starlin here.
Yeah, Jim Starlin is awesome. Jim Sterling is a fat, annoying, talentless hack
I can't do it.
But that's why. Because he has an effect on culture broadly. Mm-hmm. He gets cited by a lot of people. Politicians and people in academia alike. If you're taking a racial studies course, or anything like, or even racial literature, like black literature, which I took a class on in college when my second time through, I had to read his stuff and it was bad. I got kicked out of my class for denigrating him. That's why my second run through college didn't go the way I planned. That's why I never finished. So yeah, that's why. Though, trust me, she's pretty fucking evil too. And hopefully at some point, her son will be a metalhead, testosterone junkie who loves guns and Jesus. Like me.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Okay. Brian Gilmartin wants to know, why don't older conservatives take more interest in pop culture? Seems counterproductive not to, since the lack of interest has led to far left dominance of entertainment. So I think that a lot of the older conservatives, like the topics that they are just interested in discussing are the philosophical elements, are the way that governmental institutions are run, things along those lines. That's the sort of thing that they really just enjoy talking about. So that's what they're going to gravitate towards. You know, it just was one of those things where if you were an artist type, you were generally on the left. Things have shifted. The Overton window has shifted, though. You know, some people who would have considered themselves left-leaning 10 years ago, this guy, are really more conservative now in thought, and really I'm more libertarian than anything these days, I think. You know, except for foreign policy. You know, I think people should be left alone. I think that's what a lot of artists think. You know, but they get brought up in all the emotional stuff. So, I think that's a big part of it, but I think that's going to continue to change. Physics Hyper Nova wants to know, do you think our government will ever get spending under control? I feel that this will bite us badly in the near future. It's going to be a discussion.
No.
It's going to be a discussion in the next 4 years. I can't say yes or no on it.
I would say no, because at this point I think we're at a point now where the national debt is effectively meaningless. So there's nothing to be done about it, because there's not you can't bring it down. It's too much at this point. There is no way to pay it back, and I think everyone in Washington sort of realizes it, but doesn't really want to admit it. It's just it's one of those things that you just don't fucking think about. We got a question in the Discord, by the way.
Oh, I just saw that. Chaos Sonic wants to know, thoughts on New York exporting homeless people to other states?
You mean deporting?
It's kind of what it sounds like.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah, kind of is. I mean, they've done zero about the homeless problem in years.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
California's next on that one.
Yeah, right. Ultimate Agent wants to know, I got banned from a Discord server for calling Antifa wannabe fascists. What are your thoughts? Whoever runs it's an asshole.
Hold on. Read that one more time?
He got banned from a Discord server for calling Antifa wannabe fascists. I said whoever runs the Discord server is an asshole.
Get banned for calling
Antifa,
Antifa
want to be fascists.
So what, is that a Discord for liars, or?
I don't know.
Fuck them.
I'm not even going to give him that. People who run Discord servers, except for mine, are trash usually. So, Swordsman 100 asks, thoughts on a poll saying that a majority of Americans want a rewrite of the First Amendment. So was this a poll that was done by the Huffington Post to only people who read the Huffington Post? I don't buy that for an instant. Like half the polls that like Kyle Kalinske constantly sorts or cites, like half of them are nonsense. Melee Brawler 64 wants to know, what are your thoughts on Hillary Clinton running for president in 2020? It wouldn't surprise me if it happened. Would not surprise me at all.
It would surprise me.
Why? She's a power-hungry bint.
Because the Democrats know that she's a shit candidate. They just don't want to admit it publicly. Or rather, they can't admit it publicly. They don't want her to run. There's no way.
The funny thing about it, though, is if she did, she'd still be the best they have.
I don't think that. No, I think people would pick Biden over her at this point, even like establishment Dems.
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty tight. But I mean, they've been making such a big deal of her being the one that should be president right now for the last 4 fucking years. It wouldn't surprise me if it happened again.
Yeah, but they know the reason why she lost. I mean, that was a gimme election for her, and she lost it because she's such a shit candidate.
Do they really?
They can't publicly admit that.
I don't.
Yes, they know. They know. Trust me, they know. There's a reason why they're going to these great lengths to try and blame everything else, and yet she still gets like just the occasional headline on, what the fuck she says. If she was going to run again, she would have announced a long fucking time ago. She was the first one to announce, and she announced like very early 2015, if I remember correctly, like February or March 2015, that she was going to run. She would have announced by now. She's not going to do it because they won't let her.
I don't know, man. I think if they get desperate, they might. Maybe. The fact of the matter is that they have been completely and totally unwilling to admit that they lost for 4 years. I have no reason to think that they've learned anything at this point, because they continue to get crazier and crazier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hardboiled Entertainment wants to know, thoughts on EmmanuelMacron endorsing a no-deal Brexit? I don't really know what to think about that.
Surprised. I'm surprised. I thought he wanted them to remain.
That's what I would figure. I don't know. I wonder if he's just trying to get some bonus points back or something. I'm not sure. That's a very, very peculiar thing. Cuba's Revenge Home asks, you see the survey in regards to Brexit, where British citizens no longer care if parliamentarians get hurt if it means getting Brexit. What were you saying about them rolling over? I think it's more directed towards you than me. Hatman.
What? Who?
Oh my god, dude. Did you see the
I'm,
survey?
I'm getting like half of what you're saying.
Did you see the survey in regards to Brexit, where British citizens no longer care if parliamentarians get hurt if it means getting Brexit? What were you saying about them rolling over? That's directed at you.
I said something about them rolling over? I don't remember that.
You said that you didn't think that Brexit was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, well, answer his question, please.
If British citizens no longer care if parliamentarians get hurt. So what is that supposed to mean? That they're going to revolt?
I would say probably vote them out.
I don't understand the nature of the question.
Well, okay, so obviously
Armed revolt. Okay. Yeah, so armed revolt. They're not going to be able to. Great Britain is fucked. They cannot have an armed revolt when you don't have the arms to do so.
I was about to say, well, yeah, I don't know how they would do an armed revolt. Like that'd be kind of with spoons.
Yeah, you're getting Robot Hatman again because my fucking internet sucks. That's why.
Hatman.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna fucking happen. I still don't think you're gonna get Brexit. Like even if people take to the streets and whatnot, I don't think it's going to fucking happen. Parliament's just going to keep delaying until they can get someone who will shut it off, overturn the vote, and say, fuck it.
All right. Final question. Another one from the Discord server from Kit Nightwood says, what is your take on Steve Bannon saying Trump will be impeached and lose the 2020 election? He's trying to cling to relevance at this point.
Yeah. Don't think so.
Yeah, everything is trending the opposite direction. I mean, the impeachment gamble is one that the squad was pushing. It's likely not going to happen. If it was, they were going to be having a vote on it already. Like it's they can't make up their minds on it. So, yeah, Steve Bannon is just trying to cling to relevance. He's lost his relevance. He's lost everything, and it's his own damn fault. So, all right. So, let's go ahead and bring this to a close. It has been an hour. And if you have a question that was not answered during the course of this podcast and you didn't get a question answered at all, please do tag Brainbox. He is in here for the overflow. And then we will go ahead and answer those during the overflow this coming week. Please do stick around. It seems like YouTube is working again, which is good. What we're going to be doing next is the entertainment podcast where we'll be discussing Hatman actually went and saw Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I went back and played through Half-Life 2, the best game of all time, and I'll be talking about why I think it's the best one of all time. And then we'll also be talking about Blizzard trying to distract from the China controversy, Fallout 76 screwing up again, and then we'll be announcing the winners of the Englewood Art Contest, plus more. So, stick around. We will be back within about 15 minutes, and we'll get back to kicking ass. Until that time, my name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, apparently the Robot Hatman again.
No, you're not, Robot. You're fine. We'll be back in a bit, guys. See you then. Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.